It's strange how life can shift in a single moment. For me, that moment was my fibromyalgia diagnosis. It felt like everything I knew about myself, my plans, and my future had changed in an instant. One day I had all those visions for how my life would go, and the next, it felt like everything had been flipped upside down. Suddenly, the way I moved through the world didn't make sense anymore, and I didn't recognize myself. At first, I let it consume me. I felt stuck, like my illness had become my whole identity. It was as if I was at the mercy of something I couldn't control, and yet felt terrifying. But something shifted over time, and it wasn't an overnight change or some big epiphany. It was more like a gradual realization that while I couldn't control my illness, I could absolutely control how I responded to it. I started to understand that the story I was telling myself mattered more than the circumstances I was in. I had spent so long letting my illness dictate how I saw myself, thinking I was someone who was held back, limited, unable to do the things that once brought me joy. I saw myself as broken. But one day, I just got tired of that narrative. I realized I could rewrite it. That's when everything started to shift for me. My illness wasn't the whole story, just part of it. And while it changed a lot about how I navigate life, it didn't have to change my ability to live fully, to find joy, or to pursue things that make me feel alive. It was a process though. Changing how I thought about my illness didn't mean the struggles disappeared. But it did mean that I stopped seeing those struggles as roadblocks and started seeing them as challenges I could work with. You know, there's this idea out there that transformation is supposed to be beautiful, that we should look at it with gratitude. And to be honest, that's not always true. Real transformation is messy, it's uncomfortable. Living with chronic illness forces you to confront that discomfort every single day. It's not always about pushing through pain, it's more about learning to live alongside it, to make space for it without letting it define you. I used to think that having bad days or feeling frustrated meant I was failing. But I've come to realize that accepting those hard days is a huge part of the journey. In fact, it's a sign of growth. It's easy to want to stay where things are familiar, where it's comfortable, even if that comfort comes with frustration and pain. But I've learned that the only way to move forward is to embrace the discomfort. Every time I've leaned into that challenge, whether that was changing the way I live, letting go of old ideas of who I was supposed to be, or being vulnerable with myself, I've discovered new strength. The kind of strength that doesn't come from pretending everything is okay, but from showing up for myself, even on those hard days. That's where the real resilience comes from, I think. Another thing I've learned is that comparison is a dangerous game. When you're living with chronic illness, it is so easy to look to other people and think they've got it all together, or to feel like your struggle is somehow less valid because someone else might have it worse. But the truth is, everyone has their own battles, even if they aren't visible. I've had to remind myself again and again that my journey is mine, and comparing it to anyone else's is not just unhelpful, it's harmful. The only person I need to compare myself to is the person I was yesterday. And some days just getting through is enough. And that's okay. I've learned that while it's easy to focus on what we lost, the things we can't do anymore, the plans we had to let go of, it is so important to shift our focus to what we can still do. There's still so much life left to live. When I shift my focus to what I can do, it opens up this whole new perspective. I've started to really appreciate the small victories, the little moments of progress. Living with chronic illness has forced me to redefine what success looks like. And honestly, it has made me notice the joy in the quiet moments that might have passed me by before. There's still so much life left to live, even if it looks different than what we thought it would. It's easy to feel like we're just the sum of our circumstances, but I believe we have the power to create something beautiful no matter what the challenges we face. Chronic illness might be part of my story, but it doesn't decide the ending. I do. We all have the ability to create a life that is meaningful, even if it looks different than what we thought it would. It's about finding what brings you joy, what resonates with your soul, and building from there. That might mean discovering new passions, creating new routines, or simply learning to take things one day at a time. But it's all part of the process of creating a life that feels like yours, a life that reflects your strength, your resilience, and the choices you made along the way. The biggest lesson for me has been realizing that I'm the writer of my own story, even if I don't always get to choose the plot twists. If you're feeling stuck, or if your illness makes you feel like life is happening without you, I want to remind you that it's never too late to rewrite your story, to change your mindset. You are so much more than your diagnosis, so much more than the limitations it tries to place on you. You have the power to create a life that is meaningful to you, no matter what the circumstances are. The small, intentional choices we make every day can add up to something extraordinary over time. At the end of the day, it's not just about surviving the challenges that come our way. It's about using them to grow, to create something beautiful out of the life we've been given. I truly believe that we all have the ability to do that, no matter how tough it gets. We're not just the main characters of our stories, we're the writers. So let's write something beautiful. You deserve it.